Well, welcome to Carseldine Village. This is one of two new neighbourhoods being developed by the Queensland Government. But before I talk about that, let me provide a very brief COVID update, because it'll be brief because there's not a lot to report. There's no new cases here in Queensland. That leaves us with 21 active cases. The total remains 1,303. It's 12 days since the last case of community infection here in Queensland, 17 days since the last person was infectious in the community, and it's 365 days since the Chief Health Officer set up the State Health Emergency Coordination Centre that has been running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last year, and I'd like to thank them, all of the staff who work and volunteer in the SHEC. As I mentioned, one of the ways that the Queensland Government is creating jobs is by developing these new urban residential areas, one here in Carseldine and one in Oxley. And today we're announcing that they will both be amongst the first communities in Australia to be 100% solar and battery installed. All of their garages will also be ready to be retrofitted for electric vehicles. The village here in Carseldine will have the Alpha ESS batteries, while over in Oxley they'll have the Tesla Powerwall batteries. This is all about delivering affordable housing, creating jobs and leading the way in what renewable communities can look like, leading the way in driving down power bills. So not only will these be a mix of affordable housing, but everyone who buys one of these properties or lives in one of these properties will benefit from between $1,600 and $2,000 a year in savings on their energy bills. It will help the Queensland Government to achieve our target of 50% renewable energy by 2030, on top of the photovoltaic solar energy and batteries. They will also have heat pump hot water, as well as Wi-Fi controlled air conditioning, allowing them to make use of the solar energy during the day and manage their heating and cooling remotely via mobile phones and tablets. And the residents will also have the option of signing up to a virtual power plant, allowing them to save potentially even more money. I'd like to ask our local MP, Barton, and Michael from EDQ to say something about the urban village.
Thanks, Deputy Premier, and it's great to be out here today again at the Carseldine Urban Village. As you can see behind us, there's plenty of kids here having a great time. We've got the new sports precinct here, which opened last year. We've got the Beams Road overpass later this year starts construction. It's a great area and it's really going ahead in leaps and bounds. And it's a really hot day, as you can probably see, so it's, why not make use of that solar energy? And this development will do just that. I think it's a great move. It'll be really good that it's one of the first in Queensland to do this, and I really look forward to seeing it roll out. I think people are going to enjoy living here, people are going to enjoy visiting here. The precinct here gets plenty of use at the moment. The markets are on today, lots of people around. This is great news, so thanks Deputy Premier and thanks EDQ for coming out here today.
Dr Michael Kane from Economic Development Queensland. At Oxley, Songbird and Carseldine Village, we are building the homes of the future. All homes have solar and batteries, and they have smart air conditioning. Effectively, these houses are designed to be cool in summer and warm in winter, with the minimal amount of energy being spent and the least amount of dollars being spent from the household budget. So we're designing houses that families can live in and people can live in and care about the future. There'll be zero net emissions over a 12-month period. They'll generate most of their power themselves. At Carseldine Village, they'll generate 122% of their energy need. And so there's an opportunity to provide electricity back to the grid, and not necessarily during the middle of the day when the solar is shining, but in the evening when there's excess on the battery and they can sell to the grid at a higher price. So both dwellings are being set up to be virtual power plant ready, which is where some of the future power stations in the future will be the homes and businesses of Queensland, where we can trade electricity back and forward. That's where the future is, and we're doing that today in Queensland, led by the Queensland Government at Oxley, Songbird and Carseldine Village. Thank you.
Any questions? question.
So we have two very different projects. They have both the projects have different houses will have different energy needs, and they have different price points. So what we've done is this is a two fully commercial developments. There are no external state or federal subsidies on these projects. They're fully commercial. So we've chosen the batteries that fit the energy profile of the house and the commercial reality of the projects. So the larger battery, which is the Tesla battery, has gone to Oxley Songbird, and the Alpha battery, which is a smaller battery, has gone into the terrace houses at Carseldine Village. So it's horses for courses.
Just, Michael, to clarify, the people that purchase the properties here and at Oxley, do they get a choice whether they want to take this on, or are all the houses coming?
So it's both developments. If you want to live in these projects, you have solar and battery. That's the choice you have. That you buy here, you get solar and battery. If you don't want solar and battery and you don't want very low energy bills, then you can buy an expensive house elsewhere which costs you a lot of money, or you can live here, have a very low impact on the environment and have a very low energy bill.
And with, you mentioned selling that to the grid, with having the battery as well, do they have the option to store all that energy and not sell it on?
Yes, so your participation in a virtual power plant is your choice, and the degree that you want to trade your electricity is your choice. You'll set up through your retailer a particular arrangement. It's a bit like having a mobile phone plan, but instead of you always paying out, you can make decisions about how much money you want to get back. So if you go away, you go travelling to North Queensland on your holidays, and no one's living in your home for 2 weeks, under a normal situation, you have a battery just sits there, does nothing. But under a VPP, your battery can continue to trade and make you a little bit of money while you're on holiday. So it's trying to maximise the value of the battery. Yeah, so every house has an individual battery. So every dwelling has a battery. Generally in Carseldine Village, it'll be in the garage, and at Oxley it'll either be on the side of the garage or in the garage. But every house has its own battery, and the advantage of that, obviously for the homeowner, is all the energy being generated and used, most of it is actually inside. You're not paying network charges on that electricity. You pay a network charge for the connection to the grid, but your overall energy bill is so low that often you'll actually pay that network charge off through the money you make from the solar and batteries. And that's what we're getting the electricity bills right down, and we're still paying the network charge. But that's the optimum economic performance for solar and battery, is to have it within the dwelling.
Is there an extra price for buyers who are buying these houses?
So it's two different models. At Carseldine Village, it's a fixed price design. There's a series of designs and dwellings, so you pick the dwelling design. It's a fixed price based on that design, and the solar and battery is included in that. At Oxley Songbird, it's more of an a la carte. You buy the land, you can pick and choose your design and your house, and then we have through Natural Solar and Tesla, a package for a Tesla battery system and solar system, which is basically half the market retail price. It's just under $11,000, pay back within 5 years, and you have to put a solar and battery in, but we've negotiated up front a really cost competitive option for you, which is you cannot beat anywhere. It's such a good price that we're really pleased with what we've achieved. The power grid is essential to these houses because they don't provide power every minute of the year. There are times when you need the grid to get electricity in, and you need the grid to be able to sell your electricity out. So these houses work because of the grid. This is not the end of the grid, this is the future of the grid. We make the grid work smarter, and we've done a lot of work with Energex. So the grid design here is not a standard grid design. We've done a few extra things with working with Energex, and we're working with Energex to work out how to optimally see how the energy system works here with the solar and battery. So we're really designing We are not just throwing solar and battery on top of roofs. We are doing the smarts on this, both in terms of a software for virtual power plant, but working with the smart grid. So this is the Queensland Government, not just in our department or Economic Development Queensland, but working with Energex. It's a whole of government coming together.
Sorry, did you say before that each of these homes would then have zero net emissions?
Say that again, sorry?
Did you say before that each of these homes would then have zero net emissions?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
With the emissions, did you say it would be zero?
Yeah, so net zero emissions. So it's net zero emissions. So over a 12-month period, these houses generate more renewable energy than they need. So they're basically the little power stations, and they're generating enough power, and more than enough power for each individual home, in terms of the energy that's used within the home.
Do you have an idea of how many people live in these developments, or how many houses there are?
So at Carseldine Village, we're doing 194, and at Oxley Songberg, we're doing 83. So we're demonstrating, this is obviously not every new home being built in Queensland, we're a small player, but what we're doing is demonstrating to the industry in 2 different market segments how you can do 100% solar and battery and this fully commercial product.
What's the timeline when fully complete? The 194 in the current state.
Yes. So that's stage 1, and then there's stage 2, and there'll be stage 3.
What's the interest in like
Very good. We've sold, basically everything that's been put onto the market has been sold, we're nearly sold out in the first stage at Oxley Songbird. That's only gone out just before Christmas, so there's a few more lots there to sell. We sold out on stage 1, and we're now selling out on stage 2. So the market interest has been very strong.
Premier, any other developments that you guys are eyeing off in terms of this sort of
Oh, these are the 2 that we have underway at the moment. I'm not sure what's in the pipeline. There's nothing for us to talk about at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, and you talked about the 50% renewable energy target before. Where are we up to with that? What's the percentage?
I'll have to just over halfway. I'll get a more specific update for you from the Energy Minister, but I understand we're just over halfway towards our target of 50% renewable energy, and that's delivering cheaper power bills for Queenslanders.
Sorry, will you able to run us through what the government went with the development?
So this was government-owned land, and so the government has led the development of these 2 residential communities through Economic Development Queensland, which is our commercial property development arm. The Chief Health Officer has been very clear throughout what tests we would apply for lifting those hotspot restrictions, and those tests continue to apply. Those standards, that health advice has served Queensland very, very well, and we certainly hope that Sydney can continue to contain that outbreak, contain those clusters, so that we can lift those restrictions.
So just to clarify, so we'll wait for the Chief Health Officer to make that call?
Exactly. The Chief Health Officer is applying the standard that was agreed by the AHPPC in terms of when hotspot restrictions should be lifted. She's monitoring that very closely and talking every day with her Chief Health Officer colleagues.
So what do you make of Andrew Lamming's comments and Facebook's swift action to remove them?
Well, my expectations of Andrew Lamming are pretty low, and he has indeed exceeded them. He's gone lower than I thought even he could. These racist comments are grubby and disgusting and below the standards that we should expect of elected officials in our country. I think it's appropriate that the social media companies have taken these actions. I think that's entirely appropriate, but I think it would also be appropriate for the Prime Minister to pull Andrew Lamming into line. This is a member of the Prime Minister's team making these remarks, and I think it's up to the Prime Minister to be a leader and to pull him into line. Thank you.